You're listening to the Devil Dog Talk Show.
This show contains explicit material and is recommended for ages 18 and older for mature audiences only. But hey, it's the internet.
My back hurts, dude.
I'm sorry.
It's fucking rain every goddamn time.
And
everybody
blame
says
it on the rain, not the fact that you're half retarded.
it's both. It's like the same reason why I have to make sure the waves are still waving over there.
The waves are still waving. What the fuck are you even? How
Sound
much
waves.
crack did you do before you smoked your joint?
So maybe about 1.5 grams, 2 grams, 3 grams. I learned it from the CIA. They teach you how to smoke crack rocks.
No, they don't. They show you how to sell crack rocks, not do crack rocks.
That's one drug I don't think I ever want to do is actual crack cocaine.
But what's the difference between crack cocaine and cocaine? Except that one has been cracked.
It's like a bunch of different, isn't it?
I have no fucking clue.
I've known people that done meth, and they say like the new meth is way different than the old meth. Like the old biker gang meth that used to be of yesteryear.
Old biker gang meth was like safe. The new shit's like fucking half fentanyl.
Yeah. Fentanyl's nuts.
Look, Donald Trump needs to make drug usage safe again.
Yep.
And maybe by fucking drone striking cartels, it will become safe again.
That's a good starting point. So we'll reintroduce. You've been on the show before.
Who?
You.
Are you sure?
Tommy. Yeah. Chase. Yeah, I'm sure.
Are you positive?
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, you look utterly confused.
Yeah.
Or is that just the state of Joey's being?
That's just me all the time.
Okay.
And honestly, I think people
just
do notice it and take advantage of it, but I do understand what's happening for the most part. Kind of like,
are you allowed to sign legal documents by yourself?
oh yeah.
But would you use the excuse that you were incapacitated to get out of them?
Depending on the outcome.
But why? I mean, why depend on the outcome? Why not just take advantage of it all the time?
Because it's a genuine situation for the most part. Like SDG&E came up in here and tried to flex nuts and say, we're going to take a bunch of land down this area. And I'm like, no. And they're like, well, then you're going to assume liability. And I mean, I'm retarded, but I'm not that retarded because it's not my power lines.
I'm just
Like I said, half. I'll accept half. Borderline 75%.
92.376%.
You're listening to 92.63%.
Yes.
That's what it reminded me of when you said it. Today's jams. Art LeBeau show. Oh, when that guy died, that sucked.
Who?
Art LeBeau.
Who the fuck is Art LeBeau?
The Art LeBeau show.
No idea.
If you're from LA. You've lived up in the area. You've never heard of Art LeBeau or the Art LeBeau show?
No, never heard of the Art LeBeau show.
I mean, okay. So Art LeBeau was a radio disc jockey back in the day. And he literally created the whole dial in a dedication. And it's always La Raza calling in and be like, this is for my Jaina, Betty Boop. I want this song to her. I love you for all of the seasons.
See, I thought your retardation was just coming out and you were talking about Art Bell.
No, Art LeBeau.
But there's also an Art Bell who was a very famous radio host.
More famous than Art LeBeau?
I think so in certain sectors. Art Bell used to do, oh shit, what the hell was it called?
Was it the Art Bell show?
Well, yeah, but he was out of Pahrump, Nevada and was doing like the late night shit with
Pahrump?
Yeah, with UFOs and all that. He was like Alex Jones before Alex Jones was Alex Jones.
That sounds dope. Was he on like West Coast, coast to coast, whatever show?
Yeah, Coast to Coast AM. That was Art Bell.
Okay, yeah, I do know who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Out in Pahrump, Nevada.
Pahrump.
And talk about aliens and ghosts and crazy shit and how the government is trying to insert small devices up your rectum.
Wrecked him, damn near killed him.
Is that really the professionalism that your podcast has?
Damn near. See, and that's the thing too. It's like, man, aliens and shit. Fentanyl cartels, aliens. Maybe it's the fentanyl cartel aliens, because the way everybody talks about immigrants now, it's like, what do you mean alien? Since when did that become the term of normality? And then they show like old school stuff, and it's like forever that the term alien's been used. But now it's actual like different life forms in different dimensions.
We don't know that for sure yet.
I know it for sure. They got Google doing a chip that said it's for sure.
What?
Yeah. Google made a chip. Not potato chip. Like a computator chip. And it computates in the 5th dimension.
Well, it's a quantum chip, yes. You are such a broken human being.
I'm not fixed, but I'm trying. My wife wants me to get fixed. I'm like, no thanks.
Are you?
Not this morning. I'm too tired. But I feel good enough to have you on and catch up. And I know that there's 3 things that we definitely have to talk about.
We mustard our ketchup.
Mm-hmm. We mustard our ketchup. Yes.
Are we really going with the pun show today?
I don't know. It's been pretty punny. But, you know, that's the dad jokes of life. You know, and if you're not cutting it deep, if you're not trying your best, if you're not saying, hey, hold that real quick. Ego. I don't know. I think that's the best thing about comedy, levity, and life, right? Where if you don't try the joke, you never know if it's going to land. So kind of like everything in the world right now. Nothing seems to be working right. Everything seems to be going wrong. Day 1 of a 45-minute review of AIDS, whatever it's called. What did Elon Musk say he got?
Huh?
U.S. AIDS?
Oh, yes, the U.S. has AIDS.
Yeah. It's ruining our blood of the American people. This U.S. AIDS is an interesting topic to me.
See, this is where, remember we talked about reference frames?
Yeah, I don't have any.
We live in 2 different reference frames. Like, I think this is the greatest time that we have ever existed in this moment.
I agree.
Like, feed me more popcorn and just let me enjoy the chaos.
Oh, yeah.
This is far better than the early days of COVID chaos by like 100 times.
It's barely February, and it's been a tremendous shift. A huge shift. One of those things where I talk to random people online, and I go, isn't this getting nuts? Like, just absolutely the differences between 20 days ago and now, or however many days it's been. And I go, there's left and right comparatives, right? Or frame sets. You know, I don't know if I'm using that right. Probably not. But if you are on the left side, everybody's going nuts and hysterical, already calling for impeachment.
But here's the funny thing. Are they, or are they just listening to, like, is it how do you say it? Is it like a domino game where one person is legitimately going nuts and falls over, and it just triggers everyone else to start screaming at the top of their lungs? But by the time it gets like 4 or 5 people away from the source, they have no idea why they're screaming. They just know that people around them are screaming, so they want to scream, and therefore they don't even know what they're actually fucking doing. And same with the other side too. They're like, yay! I don't know why I'm saying yay, but yay!
That's for real. Because I saw the VA new guy, whatever he's called, the secretary of the VA. Well, I don't fucking know. Doug Collins is his name. And he gave a public speech about how you got to watch it, because it literally feels like a puff piece, one of those moto speeches where you're not allowed to cuss. So he's trying to drive performance and, you know, move the whole VA towards veteran centric and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, I don't buy it. Like the whole appeal of yay. I'm like, we got too much work to say yay yet.
The VA is a broken system. It needs to be taken apart piece by piece and shoved up the administrator's ass. Piece by piece. Look, the VA...
Not even whole chunks?
The VA is great in 3 areas. Pay me, bitch. It's good at that. Pay me, bitch, because I'm going to school. It's good at that.
Yeah.
Bend over, get fucked in the asshole, and probably die because they're really good at malpractice. So turn the VA into a veterans piggy bank and pay for private care. Or pay you in such a way that you can afford out-of-pocket private care. Either one. The VA keeps some veteran hospitals around for research and experimentation on veterans, which is what we know they do, without providing informed consent, because we know uninformed consent seems to be one of the VA's
routine
shining lights. Even though, as to quote Brett Weinstein, before it was codified into law, we hung doctors for violating the informed consent agreement of humanity. Jeez. After World War II. So, that's nothing new, the fucking federal government. I mean, that's why I refuse to use the VA medical services.
Yep.
I would rather be dying on the side of the road than go to a VA fucking hospital.
Sadly enough, that's what a lot of people actually end up doing.
Yeah. So, I mean, we're all in the same company there. But look, the federal government sucks at what it does in every way, shape, and form. The withdrawal from Afghanistan shows that we suck at a governmental level at war.
Oh, yeah.
The military, when left to its own devices, especially with the motherfucking crayon eaters, are really good at breaking shit.
Absolutely.
But when the government gets involved and policies start to go from we need you to go break shit to go maintain shit.
Hearts and minds.
Yeah, we really fucking suck at it.
I agree.
And I mean,
I agree too much.
So why play the game anymore?
It's scary to the point where how much of all of this wrong tool, wrong job kind of keeps on happening in government.
No, it's not wrong tool, wrong job.
Really? Or do you think it's just so badly done where there is no even attempt to get in any tool to do a job? Would
you let your 11-year-old, even if he had the right tools, go fuck with your main power supply?
No. Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
No. You keep him the fuck away from there. Kind of like how we should be with the government. Like, no, stay the fuck away from there because you're going to zap yourself and by proxy kill us all anyways.
That's a powerful point, honestly, because I was thinking of, well, at least they're trying, right? And
No. Stop.
Yeah.
Don't defer to the government is ever trying to do anything positive.
That's true.
Remember, the government exists solely because it's able to wield force to take money from you. And if it can't rob you and you start to push back, it will throw you into a cage.
That is so true.
That's the reference frame that you have to view the government from, whether it's a government guy that you like Trump, or a completely brain dead guy like Biden. I mean,
he clearly wasn't in charge of shit.
But it's not them. Like, they can sit there and smile and say it. But you have a whole bunch of incompetent monkeys that are running around in the background. Look at what Elon's finding.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the beginning points I think we started talking about this morning, even the other day. And I'm like, it's important because if you don't talk about the efficiency aspect of anything, you're right. It's like leaving, I wouldn't say even letting a kid play with the power supply. It's saying candy, here's candy. And letting a kid just kind of go at it and at it and at it. and then it reinforces this construct or concept frame set. Is that what you're saying? That's the one, right? Where if it is government, then by authority, it's allowed to make these decisions, but it's under duress or force, threat of force.
It's worse than that.
How much worse?
Well, think about it like this. Do you ever think of the government using force upon you? When you pay your taxes, when you walk up to the counter and it's your shit that you buy says $3.99, then when they ring it up, it's $4.27 because of taxes. Do you ever think, they're forcing me?
No. It doesn't come off as that, yeah.
So guess what? You're living in a world where you have been so conditioned to accept that government knows what's best.
Yeah.
That you gleefully see an advertised price of $3.99 and have no problem paying $4.27 because tax is just kind of in the background.
Well, I mean, I'm trying to, invest in the roads and education, aren't I? Isn't that what taxes go to?
But there's probably a better way to do it. I don't know what that is, but there's probably a better way to do it.
What about like the infrastructure in California, right? Like, isn't the taxes going to our water hydrants?
How many houses magically disappeared last month?
Everywhere. Hey, all I'm saying is yes. Sadly enough.
And how many of those people are still going to have to pay property tax on their charcoal pits?
A full property value.
Yes.
Yeah. They were saying they can't even rebuild the way they want to. They're going to have to utilize. Gavin Newsom was just talking about it. Our governor.
Well, I mean, the point being is, as you watch the fucking world lose its marbles over Doge, Elon's touching our social security numbers.
Yeah.
But you're okay with the government finger fucking your social security numbers.
It seems to be a misplaced anger.
One can fuck around with you. The other can throw you into a cage permanently.
Yeah.
I'm going to be more worried about the government finger fucking my social security number than anything else.
The whole concept of what is being revealed, right? I don't understand how it could be angering if what they're talking about is transgender studies for animals and then getting them high on party drugs to see if they overdose faster or not in certain things. And we're paying a lot of money.
Wait, but is it because the animals are transgender that they're getting high and overdosing faster, or are they two separate studies?
See, and that's the kind of problem with research. It's as if it's not completely outlined in a protocol.
I'm assuming people just saw the names of experiments and went, "Oh, there's a crazy thing."
Right. But then when you see the thing like the ice cube, like the mandate of ice cube trays or whatever it was called, the measurements of ice cubes.
What was it? The Department of Ice Cube Standards, or the Ice Cube Standards Agency, that was being funded $1 million a year. And most people are like, it's $1 million, no big deal. The government, it's a rounding error. But the real question is, for how many decades has there been human beings assigned to and employed by the government agency that sets the Ice Cube standards?
See, and that's the thing that gets me to scratch my head. Literally, I'm doing it right now, in fact. But when you look at it, it's going back to things and programs and the government and the way that the mentality is. It's not incentivized for performance. It's incentivized to be leveraged for these special interests, grants for things like ice cubes and transgender ducks and party drugs, I guess. I mean, don't get me wrong, sounds like a great time. But why are we paying for how gay sex in Pakistan is affecting the migration of rats from India to China, right? I'm not saying that's real, but after reading what I've read and seeing what everybody's talking about on X, I wouldn't put it past that.
So, okay, none of this has to do with science.
It doesn't seem like it.
None of this has to do with anything other than sociology experiments. And quite frankly, studying gay sex in Pakistan probably received zero money.
That's actually probably accurate.
Because though it was a line item that was funded to a nonprofit that was doing the study for gay sex in Pakistan, if that's even an actual thing. You and I have been around enough nonprofits, so they take their cut. They take their 20% off the top.
Those processing.
And because Pakistan is a pretty devout Muslim country, their contacts there probably take another 60, 70% off the top when the money gets over there.
Yeah.
And so if there is a single US dollar that makes it to gay sex studying in Pakistan, it's probably $1 out of the million that was allotted. But where the benefit comes in to Pakistan is they have money coming in from the United States that is off books, that then goes as, what's the word? Slicking hands. So when we need to drone strike a wedding.
Oh, I forgot about that.
So it's a sociology experiment being like, how do we put enough money in that you guys don't bitch about us fucking dropping a hellfire on a wedding party?
That is a very, very great look at, because they were also doing fund. I'm not sure if it was funding Gaza or Hamas with condoms.
Hamas.
Okay. So super interesting, fascinating, because I was unaware that you needed a condom when you fuck a goat.
Well, don't forget this, though, too. Oh, God, I can't believe I'm going to go down this dark alley. How do you think the condoms are getting into Gaza?
I don't know.
Through a country that basically controls all their imports and exports, right?
True.
So
Israel.
What was Israel's biggest claim to fame in the last year of like, holy fuck, how did they pull that off?
Yeah.
The pagers.
Yeah.
Are you going to trust condoms coming through Israel?
No. I wouldn't.
Think they may have a few holes in them?
Not just holes in them. Could you imagine if they put
or
like
some
a lining?
sterilization shit?
That would be smart.
So the point being is
that would be hella smart.
And I literally just made this up as I was going along.
Yeah,
with it.
but dude, you said sterilization, and I'm like, okay, hold on. Now. Go ahead though. That was.
But no. So the idea being, it's not about condoms. It's about influence.
Influence of condoms?
Influence of American money going to basically bribe people into being our friends. So consider it like this. We give Kenya $1 billion in road and infrastructure funding through USAID. I don't know if that's actually factual or not. China wants the same influence in Kenya, but they can only afford $750 million. Who do you think Kenya is going to be more inclined to say do joint counterterrorism operations with? USAID money that gave them $1 billion, or Chinese version of USAID money that gave them $750,000, when each country's Defense Department comes knocking and say, hey, we want to work with you. And so it has nothing to do with aid. It has everything to do with influence.
So at the longer thread, as you pull it, right, it kind of leads up to the collar of power, influence,
bribery. Yes.
Burberry.
That's
probably how the English folks say it. Burberry.
But that's all USAID is do they do good? Yes. But they're a giant bribery machine. But it's not bribery because, going back to government, it is a government authorized form of bribery. That's all foreign aid is.
So much like diplomatic immunity, right? A lot of scapegoats within that, right? They use
You mean getting drunk and running over a 5-year-old kid in London?
or driving off a bridge and drowning a person or personal assistant.
That was not diplomatic immunity. That was just Teddy being Teddy.
Oh, true story. Overall, same effect.
Well, I mean, he was a Kennedy. He gets away with a lot of shit. Unless you become friends with Donald Trump, then they want to go hang you out to dry.
You know, I find that fascinating. I do find that fascinating on the dynamics of O'Donnell, because it's not just, hey, this guy's been in the American eye and folklore for generations now. It feels like literally there's so many iterations of Donald Trump and media and news media coverage and articles and the thought process. And I'm not saying he's being built up in any way, shape, form that he ain't helping them, you know, or is helping them add to the fuel to the fire. But it's kind of with this whole concept of, if people are going to dramatize what Elon Musk is doing, right? And he's found billions of dollars within the first few moments of review of fraud, waste, and all this stuff, right? Even more so because that's the reason why I love talking about the VA and other government programs, even the DoD, where if you were to actually look at it and say, man, where is this money going? Overall, how's this benefiting us? And how is this benefiting the people of the United States, right? All of it has to come to, I want to say, a pain point or a pressure point of accountability and integrity. But then it's kind of I'm projecting this internal this internal self, right? Morals kind of end and begin with you. And if we all kind of behave the same way, and all the nonprofits behave the same way, and all of the briberies and all the government, to the point where systems are accepted, not just tolerated, but taught to be in a way, not just corrupt, but through policy and interpretation of what's it called? Legislature, right? And if I could impress upon you through my influence of my donation dollars or not, that this is how you're going to interpret whatever comes out of Congress, CFR code, whatever may have you, right? You're going to interpret it this way or else. And then it's the restriction of donation dollars or influence or seats at the table. And the term shareholder strikes me constantly. And I don't understand how that's a viable route of governance where shareholders, special interest groups, lobbyists.
I think you're using the wrong term.
Which one?
Not
I use a lot
shareholder. Stakeholder.
Is it both? Because I feel the word shareholders come up a lot in congressional hearings.
I haven't heard shareholder. I've heard a lot of stakeholder. A shareholder.
Yeah.
Looking at it in the eyes of a business would be anyone who has a share in the business. So stock market, you own a share of Tesla, or you own 1,000 shares of Tesla. That's what you're buying. Stakeholder has this very, very communal, in the most sincere version of communism, invocation, at least in my head, which is, if you have anything to do with a business or an entity, be it you're the guy purchasing the iPhone or you're the guy making the iPhone, you have a stake in how well it's done. And so when you hear stakeholder or shareholder politics, it's usually a very, very left-leaning take. Just like the overly convoluted belief of equity and equality are somehow related.
See, and I hear those words in pairing a lot. And I get it, right? The whole kind of concept of being a good moral society, right? But I find it being more exclusive than not.
Well, okay. One, there's no such thing as a good moral society. Just take that off the table. Society as a whole is inherently, and I'll go as far as saying has to be, an immoral venture. because you're relying on one thing that society has given power to be the sole arbitrator of the use of force.
That's a great point of looking at it.
Yeah. So going back to equity, the way I learned about equity was a business thing. So sweat equity. I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
No.
So sweat equity being you're not wealthy enough to buy into a company's shares. So say me, you, Heidi, and 3 other friends come together and we want to create a business. You have $1,000. Heidi has $1,000. I have $1,000, but the 2 other guys don't. They have no money to bring in. So we say, you're going to be doing a lot of the legwork to make this business happen. And you'll get equity, you'll get similar equity into the business that we who put the money in do, but you have to work for it.
So you're kind of like the hands of the operation.
Right.
Okay.
Because you're bringing something of like physical value that the money people don't have. That's how equity's always been, is you're bringing something to the table. Not this fucking Kamala Harris equity of, oh, not everyone starts from the same place, so therefore we need to give you a boost up. That's literally just giving somebody a boost up.
I see.
Like there was that great thing before in the 2020 election where she posted a thing of a fence, and like people were looking over the fence of different heights, and she was saying, see, there's a difference between equality and equity. Equality is the fence is at the same height for everybody, but not everyone's the same height. So we have to put boosters under the shorter people to make it equal.
I see.
But at what cost? I mean, it's a cool little meme, and it's like, oh, it tugs at the heartstring. But at what cost when you're doing that on a societal level?
See, and that's a good interpretation of it, because as much as it is an emotional kind of a pooling, like you were saying, or a marketing scheme, right? I find anything that really tugs at your heart is usually not good.
No, I mean, like, so one thing that the people on the left side of the political spectrum are really good at is playing with words.
I do notice that.
And playing with marketing and doing all of that shit.
Well, look at what the key roles are on the left and look at the key roles are on the right. And it kind of paints itself in that manner. It kind of does, because when you look at the left, they have predominantly the media resources. So...
Right. Because, like, when you look at how the reaction is to Doge and USAID, one side is only working the emotional end.
Yeah.
Elon has access to your social security number. Elon is shutting down programs that can literally kill people. Yes and no. Yes and no. Does he have access to your social security numbers? Quite possibly, yes. Does it mean anything to him?
I mean, the guy has a top secret, probably with the SCI attachment, specifically for missiles and rockets and technology,
but more so.
Yeah.
Why is the government funding programs that could kill people if we stop?
Because if we shut it off, like is it the heartbeat program?
So this, like, I am a bodily autonomy absolutist.
I do know that of you. I don't know if our listeners do.
That being said,
you are very adamant about that.
Why do we fund Planned Parenthood? Like, cool. We can give them a few bucks. I find the government giving private companies as part of legislation like disgusting. But okay, cool. It's a statute. It says that we get to give them some money, whatever. Follow the law on that. That being said, the hair on fire if you cut any of that money. So you're telling me Planned Parenthood, which is a 501c3, a nonprofit, will go completely broke. It is such a fucked up nonprofit that if the federal government cut its funding to it, it would cease to exist. So it has no other functional way of raising money.
I see.
Because it is a nonprofit and it does raise money from other sources.
Right.
In fact, when you actually look at the amount of money that Planned Parenthood gets as a percentage of its operations from the federal government, I think it's like 10%, maybe 15% of its operating budget comes from federal money.
10%?
It's either 10 or 15%.
Okay.
But if you talk about cutting back on it,
it's like, oh my God.
like the world is going to end.
It's not the foot, it's the whole lower half of the body.
So how many of these programs that USAID funds are actually so horrible that they're reliant only on U.S. money?
See, and you bring up that's all U.S. money.
Right.
U.S. money.
Because the U.S. is giving grants to non-profits and non-governmental organizations to fund it. So USAID very rarely will give, how am I trying to say this? Like for some of these crazy things, like the condoms in
Hamas?
in Gaza.
Was it in Gaza or was it for
Well, Hamas and Gaza are kind of synonymous.
I mean, yeah.
But
That's kind of a true statement.
But so, and it was Gaza because Gaza is the location that they were going to.
Oh, I see.
But
because that's where Hamas is, though.
the fact that what I'm getting at though is so there isn't a USAID employee sitting on an Amazon account that says USAID Amazon account and typing in 50 million to put condoms in a cart. That money goes to
Who's the vendor, do you think?
You could probably find out, but goes to a non-governmental agency that takes their cut of the funding for operational expenses. They procure it. And sure, there's going to be USAID posters and stuff because we want to look cool. But
we want to show what we did.
The question is, who is getting funded and how much of that money that they're receiving funding from is coming from outside of the U.S. government? Probably 70 to 80% of their budget, you would assume, unless it's a money laundering operation.
So I got to ask, because I've seen a lot of constructs in films or concepts, right, of money laundering. For the longest time, okay, this might be a bit revealing, I thought it literally meant put money in the laundry so it looks used and beaten up and all that stuff and then cleaned out because now you can fool people with it. Now, I know that it's wrong now, okay?
Well, I think there was actually some truth to that back in the 30s and 40s during the mob days.
Okay, because that's literally where I learned it from, was watching movies where that's the relative era. Yeah, you nailed it on the head that I had that core memory when I was a young man or a kid.
But what it means now is to muddy up the waters of where the source of the money came from.
Got it.
So you're actually making, like, so say you're out there on the street at 3 a.m. selling rocks.
Yeah.
And you're making $10,000 a night doing that. You can't put it into your bank account.
You can get 10 grand a night for rocks?
Maybe. Depending on whether they're shiny rocks or...
Right. Are they polished?
Yeah. I mean, if they have that yellow tint to them, you may be able to get a little bit more.
That whiteness. Yeah.
Right. But so you can't put that into your bank account. You can't put that cash into your bank account because you have to be able to trace the source. So then what do? You go, I don't know, you go buy some shit at the store. and you take half that money, you buy some shit at the store, you do some other legitimate things, and now you have a value of that 10 grand and say jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
And you turn around and then you sell the jewelry as a legitimate purchase, as a legitimate sell. And then you can so you're laundering the money to make that money that goes into your bank account appear legitimate.
See, that's really fucking interesting to me, because that is to me what I've seen profoundly occurring in the nonprofit space, so to speak, where all the players seem to know each other. Everybody seems to have a lot of cross reference and resume. And when you start peeling back the transactionary parts of everything, the money seems to be a very interesting thing, because it grows, and then but the out of it is less and less and less and less.
Well, remember, nonprofits, when you donate, you get tax write-offs.
Yeah.
So you're not paying tax on that money. So that's why when I was helping with Soldiers Angels briefly, I forgot which major company it was, but they would do because Soldiers Angels would send out care packages to the troops overseas. So they would get, just going to say, because I don't know for sure, but they would get Procter & Gamble, say, to give them 10,000 travel-sized Crest toothpaste things. And Procter & Gamble would send them 20,000 because that's a donation in kind. So they can write off every single one of those little travel.
I see.
And so for them, it was beneficial.
It's an
instead
incentive,
of giving
yeah,
them money, to give them product that they could write off.
See, that's interesting too, because I've seen a lot of different products, even in my time in the military, where...
Yeah. Well, it's also why, like, if you ever ask
Yeah.
a company, can you hook me up? I'm a veteran. Can you hook me up? It's easier for them to give you a 30% discount than it would be for them to refund you 30% in cash.
I see. See, so that's the thing too about art that I'm learning, right? Like the whole fine arts aspect of who says what's valuable, and kind of the same thing in a lot of different spaces that I notice the same mentality, me and you and a few others, right? We say, hey, isn't it peculiar that these people that are all of the same mindset are the ones being pushed up and elevated and spoken of louder and get the more impression or get the more of this
Are you talking
engagement?
about the so-called veteran community influencers?
Well, we've agreed that there's no such thing, but
Well,
I understand it that
I don't
it's
know
a
that we
thing.
agree, but like in my opinion, there is no veterans community. Period. Like because a community means a shared story, and I'm sorry, and I know people will be upset and sad and mad, but a Space Force guys 4 years in the military cannot be anywhere near what an 0311 infantryman in the United States Marine Corps goes through in over 4 years. Sure, you can both say you served your country. Sure, you could both say you were in the military, but you were in two completely different versions of the military.
Very true.
Just like being a corpsman, man. There are corpsmen who get stuck at the hospital their entire 4 years. And unfortunately, they have to work with these horrible monsters called nurses who very, very much teach them the magic phrase of that's out of your scope of practice. Or you get a gung-ho corpsman who happens to leave Corps school, goes to field med, gets shoved over to 1-1 or 1-2, and has a fucking awesome fucking battalion surgeon who wants to make sure that the corpsman knows exactly what he's doing for that full 4 years as he goes out with his troops. And he's doing minor surgery on his troops. He's going out there and being able to drop IVs and pull blood and do diagnostic work. Two completely different universes.
Absolutely.
So again, do we have
Same paycheck, roughly.
same branch of service?
Yeah.
But so do we have a commonality? Yes. But was it enough to say that like what Sean Ryan does because he's a podcaster puts Joey in the same veteran community? No,
Not at all.
not even close.
And the comparative is what actually destroys the ability to proliferate any other messaging.
Yeah.
It's like you bring up Sean a lot, not a lot, but right now, and then you bring on the concept of other people in the space of podcasting, right? I go, dude, I'm not Joe Rogan, nor am I trying to be Joe Rogan. I didn't host Fear Factor. Okay. I don't know if you guys know that.
But I mean, so is there a podcasting community?
Exactly. There's a thing that people do called podcasting, but no, I they have conventions where people feel as though, and this is where the word community I feel is over leveraged in marketing and promotion, where you feel as though you're a part of something, and then there's caveats to that something.
Well, it's another deferment.
Deferment.
So by being part of a community, you can be a fuck off, but you're still part of something.
Yeah.
And it makes you feel special. The fact of the matter is, look, you can say that you are part of the veteran community, and I'm not going to hate on you for it. But what does that actually mean to be part of the veteran community? As I guarantee you, you go down to an NMCSD, Navy Medical Center San Diego, the way you look right now, and you're like, hey, I'm a veteran. And then people are going to be like, oh, okay.
Thank you for your service.
No, like, okay, cool. Yeah, you're here. Let me show you the secret way to come into the base. Like it's something that you hold on to that really doesn't mean shit when it's all said and done.
Because it to me, it's like the romanticism of not just combat, but military service as a whole, right? We all do different jobs. We all do different things. We all have different experiences. The one constant is that we did serve, and we probably are all dealing with some kind of bullshit.
Well, and don't get me started on serve.
Well, and you value that point, but what I'm getting at is definition of society of what we did. That's what it is. Just like police officers and everybody else and Congress.
It goes back
to the term serve our nation.
Yeah, but the reality of it is it's a job. I will be the first, and I have that stupid fucking purple thingy.
Which one?
That stupid purple thingy.
Oh, right.
And you know what?
You got the Barney Award.
I am probably one of the few people that will openly say, dude, I would go back to Iraq in a heartbeat. You don't even have to pay me. Just let me go cruise around in a Humvee and do what I did. That being said, the vast majority of people who wear that veterans community mindset, if they were told that they weren't going to get their paycheck for 6 months, but you could live on base, you're going to be fed, but you're not going to get paid for 6 months, would be the first to lose their marbles.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's
not
an
service
point
to me then.
Yeah.
Are you willing to sacrifice your comfort to not get paid to still do the job every day?
You know, and
that is service.
Very powerful point, because even in that, the services that we do kind of render ourselves to is up to the point of death in the military, right? If you get sent out, that's the thing that might happen, right? And the same thing with police officers and firefighters and stuff like that. And Brent was actually, we're talking about just the other day, that they're making policies now to where you can't go into dangerous situations as a police officer or a firefighter anymore because of the whatever. And his I agree with it, is that kind of erodes that trust of, hey, I can depend on whomever, right? And you've seen it. We brought up the Palisades, right? Pacific Palisades, where the firefighters in the department, they didn't have the resources they needed. And then the optics of their marketing and advertising, when they showed that one lady, or I'm sorry, I don't know if she's a lady or not, but the person that of which is occupied as a fire person.
Oh, you're talking about the one who said that when they asked her if her husband, or if
somebody's husband,
yeah,
yeah,
you got yourself in a bad situation.
Or well, first of all, why are you in a fire? I'm like, okay, hold up. And then the constant of this thing. Well, how would you, if the person coming to help you didn't look like you? And I'm like, I genuinely couldn't give a fuck, right? I don't understand this. If you don't look like drag queens, do you think they're just being like, is the goal for drag is that everybody, the police officer pulls me over is in drag, the emergency room doctors in drag? Well, like, what is the goal for a lot of these? You have to look like me.
You're okay. So
you know what I mean?
No, the look like me is a valid concern as a generalized statement. Like it is as a generalized statement. If all you saw were
I see
white professors everywhere.
Yeah,
you could make the argument that it would intimidate people who are not white, like white male
not of whiteness, or
want to go into that. But the problem that became of that is applying that to everything. In a gunfight, which I've been in a few, I don't give a fuck what you look like. As long as that Humvee pulls up next to me and we start playing talking guns and we make the people shooting at us bleed to fucking death with holes in their body.
Yeah, long distance.
I don't care whether you're black or white, gay, trans, whatever. As long as we can rain hate, pain, and murder on the people trying to do the same to us, fuck it.
Right?
If it is a truckload of white hicks, cool. If it's a truckload of fucking slick back Mexican hair cartel fuckers, cool. When it comes to times of great stress where action is needed, nobody is thinking, that person doesn't look like me, so I don't want them to save my life.
Right.
No, that is just you trying to program people into believing that there is a divide that doesn't actually exist.
And I feel like that's the thing, because there was a lot of people back in the day, this Bernays dude, Edward Bernays, I think it was, talks about if you say it enough, people will believe it. Right. And that was a communist manifesto construct as well, where if you call them Nazi enough, people think that they're Nazis. And I'm like, this is the interesting thing that's happening on where you can actually talk to people in long form and engage with them, right? People are talking in ways that they haven't in a very long time.
Right. And people want that quick little soundbite to be able to go, see?
Yep.
He's fucking Hitler.
Yeah, like the whole hand salute thingy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, right before we started recording, Yi is saying he loves Hitler.
Yeah.
And you know what? Good on you, Yi. I voted for you in 2020. That being said, I know what you're doing. You are trying to get some attention.
Oh, yeah. He's good at it. Did you see his wife at the Emmys?
Yeah.
The Grammys? Whichever one it was.
Good on him for making a mockery of the stick up the ass society that we become.
Oh, yeah.
We have lost the value in lightheartedness.
And that's very, very fucking powerful, because you're right. Levity, lightheartedness, general kindness, that empathy of just, hey, we're all just trying to make it home. Like, honestly, like even on the fucking freeway, I get terrified. I don't manage that well. But the whole time I'm listening to like gospel hip hop, Frank Forrest or whatever his name is. And, that kind of stuff where I'm just really trying to think and fucking meditate and think about Jesus and shit, because I'm like, man, I want everything in front of me to just be obliterated. And I hate it. And my wife hates it. And she goes, why are you like this? And I go, there's so many reasons why I'm like this. Okay, let's tell you the reasons why I can't do what you're saying. All right. None of what we're doing right now, it was a slight left. And the entire fucking freeway came to a goddamn stop. And everywhere I go in Southern California, it's that way, right? And you see it where even back to the concept of societal normatives of, hey, you show up, you get dressed, you don't act like a cunt, and you don't talk to people in a negative manner, right? When veterans do this, we go to these appointments or we're engaging in societal normatives of, good morning, how are you? I'm going to get a fucking cup of coffee. If we talk the way we talk to each other, to regular folk, we get cops called on us. And it's interesting because instead of it being like, oh, I'm trying to understand people from where they're coming at, that lightheartedness, right?
But do we?
I don't know.
I don't think we get cops called on us because the way I'm talking right now is the way I talk to.
I've had it to where I'm merely talking to people. I would say slightly elevated speech, if not.
Well, that's the difference.
It's to the point of where this is where my concern is. If you become antagonized by something,
Joey, stop.
Stop what?
Okay, see that?
Yeah.
Not much louder than normal, but that had a different effect on people than Joey, stop.
See, but then that's the reason why you do it. And if I were to say, oh my God, you got my attention.
Now you're dealing with people who are highly regulated and who
probably never been talked to at all.
No, they get shit on all the time. But what I'm getting at is they're highly regulated and they're forced to obey their SOPs.
Yeah.
That's the VA for you. That's what you're going to receive. So to them in their conditioning that they've been through for however long they've worked there, that is an unacceptable behavior. Remember, when interacting with people, you don't necessarily get to determine what behavior is right or wrong. It's always the receiver who gets to make that call.
See, and I understand that, right? And I go, that's a valid point, right? And when we are antagonizing a situation, though, and we know what we're about to receive, right? This is kind of that if you poke somebody in the forehead long enough.
Again.
You know what I'm saying?
Again, reference frames. In that person's reference frame, you are the monster no matter what you do.
And that's true.
You are the guy that is there trying to scam the VA. And in this person's head,
that's true.
They are the defender of the VA's honor.
See, and that's a good question too. Like with the commonality of were we the good guys or bad guys in Iraq and Afghanistan right now?
We were the bad guys.
I mean, that's a great takeaway really quick.
And the good guys.
We were the both.
Again, you can't make a solid determination because you weren't on the receiving end of the rounds that you shot yourself.
Yeah.
So I don't care what veteran influencer, and I'm not saying that there are who come out and say like Iraq was absolutely 100% righteous or Iraq was 100% completely immoral. There are people on the other side of the rifle that you fired rounds at that you can never get into their head. Well, I mean, I guess after their head blows out the back, after their brain blows out their back of their skull, you may be able to stick a hand in there, but
you might be able to.
But the point of the matter is
the gray matter.
It's all reference. It's all reference framed. Like you don't know how that person truly feels about that situation that they're dealing with you in until after the situation has happened.
That is true, because then you're actually able to analyze something.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you're in the moment of something, my dad had this saying, right? When you're going through life and you put your hand all the way up to your face, right? Can you count how many fingers you have? No. I mean, you know how many you have, but you can't count them. You can't see them. And if you take a step back, you can really see things. It becomes clear. And that's kind of what the difference between illogical and emotional are, right? And that's what kind of what society is kind of going and growing through, right? We have this ability to have a moment of empathy and communication and determination for better outcomes, or we can get angry and throw shit into a fan.
Well, it's like no-knock warrants.
That's interesting.
Which I have a very, very different take on a lot of police actions. But under no circumstances should a cop be surprised that somebody goes for their gun when you kick in a door at 3:00 in the morning and don't announce because it's a no-knock warrant.
Even if you do announce,
why should I trust
robbers saying sheriff's department?
Why should I trust you in that moment?
Yeah.
And
how do you legitimize that moment?
But like,
how
as a cop who thinks that what they are doing is absolutely 100% righteously right, put themselves in the guy who's maybe a little drunk, maybe a little high, maybe coming out of a dead sleep and just hears his fucking front door get kicked open and 8 to 10 guys rushing in with riot shields. Like, how? I wouldn't know how to do that. So then the question becomes, what happens when it's a veteran on either side?
See, and that's happened time and time again. Happens quite often, actually.
Yeah. But I mean, so a veteran being the recipient of the door kicking or a veteran doing the door kicking, what is going on in their minds at that moment? Are they reliving something?
That's a very powerful point. Are they trying to get that same dopamine response?
Yeah.
That same adrenaline rush? Right. And that's kind of a good point, because what if the guy on the inside has no fucking clue what's going on? What if they got the wrong house?
Yeah.
That happens. And if you get the wrong house and somebody reacts in an appropriate manner, and you're going to say, well, I was defending my life.
Well, hold on.
You
just said in an inappropriate manner. Define that when it comes to you being woken up in a bunch of gorillas.
It's in the sense of a
society.
A quote unquote.
But okay, so in
society.
In what society is okay for a bunch of gorillas to kick in your door, especially when they have the wrong house?
And that's a better question to ask: is how have we already normalized that? Because we got the wrong house.
We defer to authority.
Yeah, that's a very fucking powerful fucking outlook.
Authority. It's a government. They know what's best. That's why people are losing their shit over the Doge thing. Because how dare Elon questions government?
Their authority.
How many times have we heard them say he's not an expert in this field? His team is not an expert. They're 18, 19, 20, 21, 22-year-olds. They're not experts. They don't even know what they're looking at because you want government to be right. Except in those little brief periods where it's Donald Trump in office and government can only be wrong because he is somehow the Antichrist, but the dead man walking was perfectly fine.
See, and that to me is a great perspective to kind of drive through. If it was okay when you did it, why is it different when these people do it? And that's where I really don't understand about sports. Government. Yeah. Oh my God. Right.
It has nothing to do with government.
Like, have you noticed that going back to sports, nobody can be just happy that a football game was played. It's like my team or your team. And I'm in the same way with politics. I'm just happy that their game was fucking played in a shapewear form that we could at least say was on the nose of transparency a bit, right? And then it becomes, well, whatever you want to decide, you decide, right? And this is the reason why I don't vote. I don't participate. I don't believe in the apparatus, right? But it's the same thing. I enjoy sports. I don't participate, right? I don't watch it. I love every now and again I catch a game and I'm so happy, right? But the thing is, to me, right, it goes back to the expert. Unless you're an expert, why the fuck are you even talking about this? I'm like, well, because believe it or not, you could read books.
Yeah.
You could pick up on what's there.
Define expertise.
That's a great question. How is that word even determined when you're talking about government officials?
Because by definition, you drop a HM3 into a platoon. Who is the expert when it comes to medicine?
The HM3.
Right. He's the what?
Subject matter expert,
Yeah.
the positional authority, yeah.
Because why? Not because he got his medical degree,
Nope.
but because he's had some on-the-job training, a little bit of base level, 8 weeks at Corps School, getting the general, another 8 weeks getting the Marine Corps lingo training, and getting the shit kicked out of you, but really no extended medical stuff.
Not at all.
But because he has hands-on experience. So in the world that we live in now, especially post-COVID, is this deferment to the experts in the people's minds who are saying that they are looking at credentialed experts, not experiential experts.
So they're being, what's the word here, restrictive on the what is considered.
Would you consider Elon an expert in rocketry?
No. He's not a rocket scientist. He invests in it and guides the direction of what you want.
He by definition is an expert in rockets.
I mean, okay.
Considering that he's doing a lot of the initial design work.
And this is kind of where I want to again, right?
But
is he a classical trained rocket scientist? What terms are we utilizing? I would say he knows what the fuck he's talking about.
that's why I said, is he an expert in rocketry? I didn't say, is he a rocket scientist?
Oh, you and these words.
But see, that's the point, is people want to apply. Oh, he can't be an expert in rockets, even though he runs a rocket company and ultimately has the decision-making for how those rocket launches go, because he's not a rocket scientist. Would you say that Elon is an automotive expert, though he has no credentialed automotive design or business experience? Yes, because he's fucking running Tesla, and it's the world's most valuable electric car company. So obviously he has expertise. So to take that to normal people and be like, well, you're not a doctor. Why can I have a conversation with you about peptides and about biohacking? I'm not a doctor. I don't have an MD. I'm not an expert. Well, I have experiential expertise in these fields, because I apply them to myself.
Yeah.
Am I a credentialed expert? No.
See, and that's a better looking glass, or I want to say scope of view, to say, hey, is everything everywhere all the time even applied this way? And going back to the police officers, no, they don't even know the fucking laws of which give them any authority usually.
Right.
And it's very, very, very rare that 1 and 2 happen, where they're not only supported in understanding the law to this full culpability and whatever the rights and oaths that they're declaring to uphold, right? But they're not even supported in basic functionality of weapons training and life-saving interventions, how to do mental health, whatever, that they are tasks. And I don't think that's a good idea, period, right? But at the end of the day, this is the job for right now. Let's get it changed. Let's get it built out in different ways. But when you look at the overall, the authority given, right? The weirder part is going back to the military. If you impersonate or lie about military service, right? It's an act of Congress to get you hemmed up. It's like, oh my God, who cares? You pretend to be a police officer for a second, dude, just fucking fuck you in the ass prison.
Well, no, because you're talking about two completely different things.
Am I?
You are. It's people don't pretend to be former or retired police officers.
Oh yeah, they do.
But in the same way that you get people doing what we'll call stolen valor. Because there's not a lot of money to be made in pretending to be a retired police officer.
Not retired. I'm saying even active, like the whole.
No, but that's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Almost nobody is trying to dress up and pretend like they are active duty military when they're not.
Yes and no.
There's very, very few people doing that.
I agree.
So no one is trying to put on their dress blues, show up at NMCSD and pretend to be a corpsman for like, hey, I've never been in the military. I'm just showing up dressed in uniform, trying to get on base, trying to go to, I don't know, the OBGYN clinic and
Top of Phil.
And pretend like they're a fucking corpsman or a nurse or a doctor.
Right.
What you were saying is, yeah, if someone, but there are people legitimately dressing up and trying to pretend like they are cops.
Yeah, they even pull people over and shit. Yeah.
They're two completely different things. Stolen valor, in my opinion, isn't a crime. It makes you an asshole. It makes you pathetic. But dressing up as a cop and pretending to be a on-duty police officer,
yeah,
that is legitimately a whole different spectrum.
I agree. I just see it as if
they're not on the
one,
they're not on the same.
Like if you pretend to be a lawyer, if you pretend to be a doctor, there's larger consequences, right?
But you're not pretending. You're pretending to be a veteran. You're not pretending to be an active duty Marine officer trying to get onto base and go
Fly a fucking helicopter.
Control battalion PT.
See, and that's an interesting takeaway from it too, because then what we're saying is in actuality in societal roles, police officers do have a heavier load to carry, right? With the whole
yeah, because they have to do it every day. We were talking beforehand. Today is, I don't know what today
February
is.
7th.
February 7th.
Friday.
It is 12:38 p.m. Assuming SEAL Team 5 is not in a rotation, what are they doing today?
Circle jerking.
Pretty much working out, maybe taking some classes, doing some classes.
NKO.
Yay. And probably got like half a day. Because there isn't a mission set for them right at this exact moment in time. They're not doing workups to prepare to deploy. Same with 1-1 or first LAR. If they're not in a rotation cycle, what goes on a day-to-day basis on base is a lot of bullshit work. Cops don't have that. Every day is a deployment. Every day they get in their car, they do their patrols, they do their unconstitutional traffic bullshit. But they're actually in that higher stress situation every day.
See, and that's a good point, because I agree that it's a lot of issue with how they do the job or what job they choose to really enforce or can choose to enforce, right? I think it's bullshit, but everybody finds it abrasive when I say it, that if you have police officers patrolling and going over traffic and speeding, sure, they're keeping the community safe optically, right? On a specific layer of control and adherence. And the vast majority of the society does behave in a manner where that is reflected of control and respect, I would say, right? But then you get this reality of, dude, there's literal people being kidnapped and raped and trafficked and this, well, our hands are tied. That's weird, because why aren't your hands tied when Susan just did a slight left turn because she didn't have her turn signal on?
Well, remember, our beloved, and I say that with all joy and happiness I can, Constitution requires that police are reactionary. And anyone who tells you differently doesn't understand the Constitution.
Well, reactionary is fine, right? But when you're reactionary to what determines that reaction?
Well, no, but so to address your thing,
Yeah.
someone getting kidnapped, we don't have technological means to know that someone is getting kidnapped until the kidnapping is actually happening. Then you have to call the cops
true.
who like take where you're at out here. I don't know how long it would take a cop to get to your front door from the highway.
Enough minutes.
Yeah. So somebody has to alert the police force that there is a crime happening because they're not omnipresent.
Right.
And then they have to get to that crime scene. So it will always happen. All of their actions will always be behind the criminal.
Correct.
Now, in the case of Susie getting pulled over for making an illegal left.
So she merged without a turn signal.
Okay. It just so happened that the cop was in that vicinity and noticed that she violated that traffic.
See, and that's true too. But then you have that whole discretion, right?
Right. Now again, I will stand by this till I die.
Yeah.
Traffic stops are unconstitutional. Traffic laws are pseudo unconstitutional, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm not going to argue that with a police officer at a traffic stop.
Especially in the moment, right?
But they do have the ability to discern, for lack of a better word. Like, is this worth my time?
Right. And that's kind of where I get it. But I get it. And this is where I always disagree with, especially with leadership and authority, is they somehow always choose to do the easiest jobs. And that's it. They focus on the micro wins that add up and stack up. And then they never actually pay attention to the bigger things that are creating issues.
Humanity in general.
It's true. That is fucking true. That is so
it's easier
true.
to take the little attaboy.
It's literally even the fucking Subway sandwich maker does it.
Yeah, it's easier to take the attaboy than. But I mean, so it's also going back to my new thing about reference frames.
Reference frames.
It's easy for us to see from my reference frame that you're fucking off and not doing your best, when in your own reference frame of your life, you're thinking you're trying as hard as you possibly can to make something happen.
Yeah.
So I call it reference frames, but ultimately it's perspective. I mean, look at our buddy Jared.
Reference frame. Yeah, he's
really pushing the boundaries of like self-healing, motivating people, and it's great to see. And so from that perspective, I'll cede the veterans community term to he's trying to build a community of which contains veterans to help them become better at their lives post-service. But now would I say that my friend Dee and Jared are anything alike as in a veterans community? She's still active duty Air Force. He's retired Navy senior chief. He's expanding minds and ideas and concepts. She's working in a pharmacy. Would I say that they are in the same community just because they both wore a uniform? No.
I see. And that's true too, to even like police officers and firefighters and EMT. And
what are we using to define the community? Is it service? Then our congressman's part of the veteran community.
Yeah.
Because they serve their country.
Well, I mean, shit. There's a gentleman I just started following on Instagram. I'm gonna chop his name up. I think it's like Demiza. I think something like that. He's an artist or executive, some form of a producer, and he kind of talks about that veteran. Being in the veteran of the music industry, right? So then, in a lot of instances, the word veteran kind of depends, right?
Well, no, I mean, veteran literally means to have done something.
Yeah.
So I'm a veteran doctor, meaning I've worked in the medical field as a doctor for a while.
Yeah, but not like you're a veteran doctor, like that you focus on veterans.
Well, then I'm a doctor who works with veterans.
Yeah.
But again,
That's what I mean. It's like
but
the
even
words,
that, like, so what veterans do you focus on? I mean,
that's a powerful point. Yeah.
Colloquially, we have taken the word veteran to mean those who have served their country as members of the military. But definitionally, veteran just means that you have experience over time in a certain field.
Yeah, because I've also noticed that veteran within the military community is also distinguishable.
Well,
right?
You're a veteran podcaster.
Yeah.
Does that make you the same as Joe Rogan, who is also a veteran podcaster? Are you in the same community?
Yes and no. Yeah, that's the same thing we were talking about a minute ago. Yeah.
No, you two are not in the same community.
Well, no, he lives in Austin.
But I mean, even that. So, like, we've co-opted this community word. Like, we're all in the same community. But what does that actually mean to be in one another's community?
I guess it's up to the individual to kind of carry that forward, right? And if it's to the point where if it's not to an effect, like you were saying with Jared, right? He has an effect, and he's generating a community with veterans involved.
But it's intentional that he is building a group of people to be a community. I don't think randos like me and Mike and Paul and Josie and Sarah, because we're all veterans, now are in this analogous community thing.
See, I see that a lot, specifically with even the paradigm of nonprofits where there's combat nonprofit, like combat veterans, right? Veterans of foreign war.
Well, I mean, look at it like this. How many subsets can we do it? There is, oh God, I think it's called the Valor Society. So the only way you get into that is Medal of Honor and crosses.
Got it.
Then there's like an expanded one that Silver Stars can now play with it too. Then you have the EMA group, or the stupid purple thingy group, or the military order of the Purple Heart.
Okay.
Which is more exclusive because, no joke, if somehow you got a Medal of Honor and you didn't get a Purple Heart, you don't get to go play with the military order of the Purple Heart people.
Oh, wow.
Because you didn't have a Purple Heart. So that was a requirement. Then, like you said, VFW, Veterans of Foreign Wars. You can't, if you didn't serve in a time of a foreign war, or I think it's even more so, you didn't
recognize conflict. Yeah.
You can't go play with them. The American Legion requires something else. So there's all these subsets.
See, in discussing that, I think is more important to illuminate the truth of where these parameters are, frame sets, like you were saying. You know, like, hey, dude, no Purple Heart, that's okay. Medal of Honor, that's okay. Silver Star, cool. Navy Cross, whatever cross. But when you start kind of eroding those lines of what is and is not, I want to say a veteran, right? If you're marketing, stating this is for all veterans, everywhere, all the time, all eras, dot, right? That to me is a bit of negligence on the behalf of both the Veterans Affairs, the military, all these different nonprofits, because they're not talking about the fact that, hey, unless you have a Purple Heart, please go find somewhere else. Don't even attempt to engage.
Well, there's PVA, Paralyzed Veterans Association.
Yep, that's another one.
But a lot of these places will cross-pollinate. Like, MOPH will help you get your VA rating even if you don't have a Purple Heart.
See, and that's kind of difficult to assess, right?
Right.
Like, let's say I am having the worst of time with all these other organizations, and you say, hey, bro, hey, MOPH will fucking help you out right now. You don't need to have that thing, but they'll help you do that part, right? knowing that it's for the community as a whole. And I don't mean just veteran community, right?
Right.
I think individuals who are on this plane of existence, okay, it's beneficial to say, hey, that if you have somebody out there, it's okay to have lines of distinction. That doesn't mean that that doesn't mean you're going to be kicked out the door when you walk in it, right? You don't have to say no to yourself, but yeah, you're going to hear a bunch of no's. There's going to be a lot of no's. There's going to be a lot of technical things that nobody's discussing, because let's be honest, marketers not just do that on purpose. They do it because they're also usually naive or ignorant of the totality of whatever service or products that they're selling.
Yeah.
Right. And that's even executive chief officers of whatever, this office or that office, the director of whomever, even the new goddamn fucking secretary of the VA. Do you think he knows who approves HISA grants, whether it be prosthetics or occupational therapy? Probably not.
No, I mean, well, that's part of the problem with the bureaucracy is there's
so much of it.
Like we were saying earlier, the Ice Cube thing.
Yeah.
What is it? The Department of Ice Cube Standardization. But I mean, one of the things that I think isn't talked about enough with the veterans for help is being able to focus on something that is important to you. Meaning, I think we convince people that after your service, go to school, get a job, which I am more and more leaning towards bad idea.
Yeah.
If you're able to, when you leave service, especially if you've been retired or medically retired, or if you get a really high VA rating, take the time and find something that drives you. Because
that sense of purpose, yeah.
I don't think sitting in a cubicle being a project manager drives anybody, except the paycheck.
I mean, more than likely not. Like, I don't know how me and my wife talk about this all the time. When I became an advanced laboratory tech out in El Centro, it was a culture shock. I knew what I was getting into, but I didn't know what the fuck I was getting into. I knew it was going to be, you're behind a desk, you're punching fucking dickety dacketies, you're clickety clacketing away at the keyboard, right? I didn't know the level of stupidity and fucking red tape and bureaucratical processes for the sake of bureaucratical processes. I had to write myself up several times because I was the guy in charge. I was the guy in the line of whatever hierarchy next. And I was also the guy fucking up. So it was like, okay, not only did I get one fuck up, I had to chart my report to myself and then follow it up with the chain of command and NMCSD several times. Okay. Scout's honor. It's like huge about integrity, right? Every time I fucked up where it was like, here's a consequence and I had to shift a SOP or do something different, I had to follow these stupid processes that, yeah, sure, make sense if you have a larger operation, okay? If you have a team of individuals, if you have a financing goal or a technical goal to scale and develop whatever resources you're at. But if it's a basic ass fucking place and all you really need to do is draw blood, maybe don't have that place billeted for a fucking full-on lab tech, right? And that was the biggest issue that I had with issues of bureaucracy. The concept of man hours in the military to me is laughable. What do you mean you have to file man hours? And they'll tell you to lie. They'll say, don't you dare put this, however many hours you put in. Actually, you are only going to put this because if you don't, they tell you to lie so much in the military to cover for administrative pitfalls that when you get home from Iraq, everybody knows you better not. Whatever you fucking saw, whatever's affecting you, here's a bottle. Fucking you better not. You better not follow up that fucking shit. You had it the worst, where you don't get the luxury of saying, hey, I'm going to lie and I'm going to keep in the job. They told you, right? They say, hey, your time's up. Here you go, bud. Thank you for your service.
Yep. And it creates a hole that you yourself have to figure out the best way to dig yourself out of. I'm sorry. And again, this is going to be another one of those like things where people are like, oh, go seek help. Help only works when you're ready to accept it.
That is fucking true.
And let me put it this way. If a bottle works for you, a bottle is always going to work for you. If a joint works for you, a joint is going to work for you until it doesn't.
Yep.
If a straw up the nose works for you, that is what is going to help you get through your day to day. Is it not what they tell you? Go seek help. Go talk to the wizard. They'll help you. No, it doesn't work that way.
It don't.
It really doesn't. I mean, I'm lucky right now, 13 years. I'm getting a house in like the next week and a half. Finally, a place of my own that I'm not sharing walls with.
That's so beautiful, man.
God knows if I did another year in a fucking apartment, I'd probably start shooting through the walls.
Go Cocoa for Cocoa Puffs.
Yes. But I mean, you have to find something that drives you. That are there dark days when you go, lights out could be the right choice? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That happens to everyone. I mean, I lost a friend a year and a few months ago to it, and I would have never thought that guy was anywhere near that level of gone, which is the other myth that we tell ourselves. Look out for these signs. If you're acting withdrawal, if you're giving shit away, make sure that person gets help. The people who are going to fucking off themselves aren't going to let you know.
Not at all.
It's always going to be a surprise when you find out somebody off themselves.
And that's so true. Even the best of us, right? We wear these masks, right? I think all of us do, especially in the military, because it's a cultural thing to survive. The more thick skin and the more mask you put on and the more present well, no matter what the circumstances are, you could literally be telling, your command, hey, sir, the ship is going down. But if you act like a cunt about it, trust me, everybody's going to give you fucking razzmatazz till the day you fucking drown, which is going to be 30 seconds, depending on how that ship got hit, right? If you come in going, oh my God, we're all going to fucking die. Somebody's going to look at you and be like, look at this dumb bitch. Look at this little bitch. Hey, yeah, we know we're going to die. Fool. We knew that when we got hit like 10 minutes ago. We're just telling you now and you act like a bitch. Hey, if anybody's going to make it, it's that motherfucker, because that son of a bitch grew up in the water, high school Olympic swimmer. I know, you know. Hey, but let my parents know I love them. All right, bye. Right? And that's the reality. Like in the Marines that I served with, they had that mentality. Like, dude, they get into situations where they go, yeah, we might die. In fact, it's more than likely, probably.
Yeah.
And then they get home and it's like, hey, can you believe? And I'm like, what do you mean believe? Y'all didn't tell me that is the way. What was the whole plan? We didn't have one. We just,
Yeah, I mean that's like with Ray and me, my junior corpsman. That was our mindset. Was every time we go outside the wire, 20% chance for coming back. But hey, we're gonna kill as many people as we can on the way. But
Take
like
as much as
we
you
had
can,
no
yeah.
expectation of finishing our deployment alive. None. And that wasn't being fatalistic. That wasn't being like suicidal. That was just like, hey, this is fucking war. Our mission profile is just fucking retarded. We were bait, literally driving around MSR mobile at 5 miles an hour. Either we're going to find an IED or we're going to hit an IED. That was our whole mission profile. Every fucking day, 7 days a week, 8 hours a day, driving loops. So you're like, oh, when you find an IED and you call EOD, you're sitting on it for 3 to 5 hours because EOD takes fucking forever and always wants to get lunch before they come out.
Oh, definitely.
So now you're a stationary set target for insurgents to come fuck with you. So that odds of like 100% we're coming back today suddenly dropped to 50%. Then if you get some pot shots at you, you're like, oh, okay, well, we really can't go anywhere because now between us and the lead vehicles, there's an IED that's like live. So, well, fuck.
And then you're forced to not only go through it, right, and experience it. You have to come back, articulate it.
And guess what? As the corpsman, guess who may have to run in between the IED in case there's an RPG that hits one of your vehicles and your guys need some help?
Yep, you're the lucky one. You are the choose your rate, choose your fate son of a bitch in that moment.
Oh yeah, and I loved it every fucking minute of it.
See, and that's the difficult part is when you get told no, you can't do that anymore, right?
Yeah.
Whatever it is, if it's, and I notice that a lot in the communities of humans, right?
Well, real quick, that's why starting your own thing is so important after you get out. Because no one is telling Joey, no, you cannot do this show anymore. Only Joey will tell Joey when he can't do this show anymore.
That's very true.
Now, I'm working on something that, technically, legally, they could say, no, you can't do that anymore because it may not be manufactured correctly. But having this tallow company just makes it so much easier for me to create. I'm making a product, a physical product, and it's something I use. And thank God for Robert F. Kennedy bringing it up. Thank God for all the biohacking world talking about tallow now, but it's something that I have my hand on, that I'm creating. And that is probably the biggest motivator for getting a new part of life moving forward, is having something
That you believe in. And that's something that I know me and you have had talks about a lot, which is the beef tallow.
Yeah.
The different uses. I saw a chip company come up the other
Fuck
day.
them.
I don't know who it is. I'm not going to say who it is. What I'm saying
No.
is,
I know there's like 2 or 3 chip companies, and hey, good on them. The only reason why I say fuck them is because chips are bad for you. But but you're cooking it in tallow, so that's a better thing.
See, and that's the interesting thing about all of products, all of services, all of things veterans, of course, can get into, people that priorly served, even police officers, right? Like the guys out at the Anti-Hero podcast, they've pivoted into a new whole world of products and services and communication and implementing all of this beautiful stuff. And the same thing for yourself, where you're looking at MOO Fat and saying, hey, this beef tallow.
What am I looking at?
MOO Fat.
What?
Your beef tallow?
What's it called?
MOO Fat.
Like MOO Fat. Okay, just making sure you're getting the name right.
I got it right.
I know. I just want to
tried
hear
my
you say it
best.
again.
MOO Fat.
Anyways, no, but you're right. And that's one of the things that hopefully isn't being held over people's head as much now. But when I did my little After the Battle Campfire podcast during the pandemic, I realized that you need to have an out. If you're talking about anything remotely sketchy back then, like I'm not feeling the same way now in 2025, but I do see around the 2020, 2021, a lot of the people that I follow personally that were doing content, especially YouTubers that were doing remotely sketchy content, biohacking stuff, all shifted towards also having a physical product backup. Because YouTube back then, they demonetize you, they shut down your channel, and your livelihood's done.
That they did that with the quickness too. And that's something that when I talk about anything and everything, and me and Pitts, we were talking about the 2 weeks into COVID, right? And we did a show, and we were talking about, hey, this is what I experienced, this is what I've seen, this is what is potentially possible, and every single alarm is going off, and this is where I expect to be leveraged. 2 years later, okay, I get flagged, okay, that show gets removed, I get a strike. And it's all from the same show that's been up for like 2.5, 3 years almost. Well, yeah, definitely 2.5 years, right? For a while, whatever the time frame was when they finally said, hey, you can be a human now. And I go, yeah, that's interesting. But even me, this person that isn't, I don't want to say provocative or controversial, but I do discuss things at length where if I find a positive note to it, like cannabis in me in 2015, it caused a lot of breakaway, right?
Yeah.
Of course, with the old hosts and everybody else. But I was like, hey, that's okay. because I know for a fact that cannabis needs to be discussed this way. Regardless if it's good or bad, it needs to be discussed. Like, to me, beef tallow has a place where I have an intrigue to it. It's done you amazing things of all the different biohacking and goals you have about your health. And I go, well, then clearly something we're being told about whatever we're putting in our foods, whatever we're making out of or producing out of our farms, our water, our entirety of thought towards health, I feel needs to be, as much as Doge is kind of doing line by lines about USAIDs or whatever the hell it's called, they should do that, and we should do that as humans towards every aspect of what we perceive to be normality or commonplace.
Well, ask yourself this. Why is there such a pushback against Doge? And why, by the same people who are pushing back against Bobby and Bobby, Jay Bhattacharya, a lot of these people who were outspoken about the bad effects that happened during COVID. I don't think, nor do I see that Bobby's going to ban any vaccines, but I think he's going to offer a potential for more choice. I don't think he's going to direct the FDA to ban Doritos or ban fast food, especially when his boss is probably one of the largest purchasers of McDonald's foods in the nation.
That's so true.
And that's just for personal consumption. I'm pretty sure Trump probably has McDonald's 4 or 5 times a week, even in the White House.
I did hear about that.
But is he going to look at, so this is a weird government side for me. Should the government be involved in this? It should be involved in getting our food and health reset as much as it's caused it to go become a fucking shit show. So should Bobby have the power to whisper to Trump, to whisper to Congress, to say, ban these foods? No. But should he be putting out like no shit studies that say, look, here is a bag of Doritos. Here is whatever chips those are that are cooked in tallow.
Yeah.
Here is what the studies say. Now, Doritos, you want to fucking keep using seed oil? This is what it looks like. This other chip company, this is what the health profile looks like with tallow or with avocado oil or with lard. That's all that we should expect from the government. It's just to say, look, here's information. You still make your choice. On the biohacking side, why is it that I can go to BAMC or probably even to the VA and say my knee hurts, and without an MRI, get a quick exam and say, yeah, we can schedule you for an ACL surgery in a week. But yet when I say, what about PRP? What about stem cells? What about exosomes? Like we don't do that. We can't do that. You have to go out of pocket for that. You want the genetically modified and genetically tailored stem cells and exosomes. You are not allowed to do them in the United States. You have to go to Dubai. You have to go to Mexico in order to do the good stem cells. I'm not saying that the government should be paying for any of this. But why is the government not letting those doctors who are experts in the field do it here? Rick Perry and the Tennessee dude talking about ibogaine.
Uh-huh.
And why are these treatments still so taboo? Fuck you. You don't like drugs? Cool. I get it. Drugs are bad. Drugs are bad. But drugs, under the guidance of a doctor, is a different thing than saying, here's a jar of Ibogaine. I don't know how Ibogaine comes.
A jar of Ibogaine.
Go fucking sit under the bridge down the street and do your Ibogaine. There's
in a van down by the river.
But there's a big difference between between what you're doing. No one is calling for an Ibogaine store to open up that you can just walk into.
That's true.
Nobody is calling for an MDMA store that you can just walk into.
It would be nice.
I'm not saying that it's wrong to have your own MDMA store, but no one is asking for a fentanyl store that, oh, wait, San Francisco kind of did that
It's
already.
pretty much it.
Open air drug markets. But that's not what we're looking at. Like the government and the healthcare system should take the let's look at everything approach.
Yes.
Like people losing their mind over fucking ivermectin as a treatment for COVID back during the pandemic are now also like losing their mind that there are some cancer studies that are looking really fucking promising.
About ivermectin.
Ivermectin and the other.
Fenbendazole.
What was the other one?
Fenbendazole or something like that.
Yeah. And then there's one other one that I think starts with the G. There's 3 in the family that ivermectin comes from that
I don't know the G one.
are showing, well, you don't know anything about G.
Yeah.
But that are showing like great promise. Doesn't mean it works. But why not let people make the choice themselves?
Or look into it.
That's what I'm saying.
I think the hard no's are what really kind of gets me about authority, right? Like,
yeah, stop deferring to authority.
yeah. And that's something that, me and my kids, we talk about because, a father-son relationship is different. You do have to dictate a little bit and say, hey, no,
Well, there is as much of a like hardcore crazy libertarian that I am. There is a distinction between a minor and an adult.
Absolutely.
And we just happen to agree that magic number is 18. It could have been 21. It could have been 16. But yes, there is
Some
a
states,
hierarchy there.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And what we're talking about, too, to me, is if we're going to recognize 18 as the legal age that you can sign a contract and go serve your country and die, potentially, right?
Or just sign a contract, period, for anything.
That's true. That's even a better construct. Yeah, that's a better looking at it because then...
Because in a time of war, we'll take 16-year-olds.
Oh, absolutely. Done in the past. Do it again. We can do it again.
But for you to sign a record label deal and not have your parents involved, you have to be 18. To get a credit card without having your parents being involved, you have to be 18. We said 18 is that magic number that at 12/00/0000 on your birthday, you are now magically
an adult
that can sign a contract.
Yeah.
But at 11:59 and 59 seconds and 59, you go down the fucking list of breakdowns. You're not able to sign that contract.
No.
But in that 1 picosecond, something magically changed about you.
And that's something intriguing because a lot of people say the human brain develops up to the age of 25 or some shit like that. And I go, well, then rationally, if we're discussing that, right? In the same stroke of a pen, we're considering 18, 21, 25s, whatever it is. Insurance is expensive until you're 25. Why? I don't know. Somebody did a research thing and this is what it was. And okay, then can't we then also, in the same mentality of pursuits, right? Say, well, maybe at 18, you should be able to say, I want to go see this doctor for this reason and that.
Yeah.
And then have that, if enough people want to see that specific doctor for that specific reason without under any kind of duress or incentive or insidious means by the government or any other major operating system that has a potential monopolization on anything, right? That then reveals itself as a desire or a goal. Because more and more when people discuss this thing of not just sexuality, but experience and warfare and stuff and being able to purchase stuff like alcohol or cigarettes or tobacco. Like California, I didn't know this, but it's like 60% tax to get a box of cigars over here from anywhere.
Oh, wow.
And then you can't get certain flavored tobaccos, but you can get flavored tobacco for pipe smoking. And all of these really erroneous and general aspects of law. And then you can go into cannabis, right? And that even has its own layers of dumb shit. And then you go, oh, okay, well, because this one thing that we didn't realize actually is the same thing. Now we're going to change the law of what this one thing is in this state, but every other state you guys can do. And I go, okay, if you're saying something is dangerous on a federal level, right? And your expertise and people, all they can come up with is back in the day, we shoved 100,000 fucking tons of smoke in a 5-foot fucking square foot space. And we put a couple monkeys together. They died, right? And we're going, well, yeah, dumb shit. If you put any amount of that much smoke, of any kind of smoke anywhere, people are going to choke to death. That's what fucking happens with smoke. That's the reason why people die in fires. Believe it or not, you more likely are going to die of the smoke inhalation or pass out.
Then burn to death.
Exactly. Then you get a crispy critter, but it's usually because that
You're
critter
usually
couldn't
dead
move.
before that crispy became a critter.
And thank God, thank God. Speaking from somebody like yourself that has gone through that fucking experience.
What? Who got to smell burnt human flesh that smelled like themselves? Is that what you're referring to?
Yeah. What's cooking? You. Fuck. Like a cartoon. Me and the kids have been watching like old school Droopies and shit like that. So to me, I see it happening, playing out life like that.
God damn it.
The same thing with Elon. I could see
I'm
him
going to be
jumping around.
traumatized now on my drive back up to Orange County.
Just a little bit.
Thank you. Thank you.
Just take a moment.
Speaking of which, I hate to do this to you.
Oh, we got to wrap up.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fucking traffic is going to be a nightmare heading back up to OC.
Okay, so let's get some last words. What kind of words do you want to proliferate, not only in the general conversation that we have, but with MOO Fat and things that you have developing going on?
Eat tallow. It's better fat for you than seed oils. It's not rancid. Tallow, and I'll say this from the MOO Fat perspective. MOO Fat is my tallow company. We get it from local ranches in Texas, all run through USDA inspected meat processing plants. But the structure of the fat in tallow is probably the best fat that you can put into your body. Second being lard from hogs and pigs, which we don't do yet. But it is exponentially better for you in terms of longevity, in my opinion, because I can't give medical advice, than, say, seed oils, most of which are rancid or
shouldn't be ingested anyway.
Yeah, just by
it's
the
better
time
for machinery.
By the time, I mean, think about it like this: when you go look at a oil section in the store, you see all these oils, whether it's olive oil, which olive oil is good if you can actually get real olive oil, but you'll see olive oil, canola oil, sesame oil, all of these oils. The vast majority of them, when you're looking at this section that's maybe 8 feet wide by 6 feet tall, they're all in plastic.
Oh, so that plastic like leaching into it.
Well, think about it like this. Fats are very absorbent. So, of course, they're going to be leaching with like good, high quality fats, be it MOO Fat, be it Epic's lard and duck fat, any sort of high quality olive oil, avocado oil, they all come in glass because they're not leaching.
That's solid.
Yeah. And some of that oil that's on the counters for that's the liquid oil, it's specifically designed to be liquid at room temperature, where tallow, coconut oil, for the most part, coconut oil has a lower melting point, but coconut oil, tallow, and lard are solid fats at room temperature, which also means they're not going to leach as much as, and they're more shelf stable
because of the solidification, right?
Yeah.
See, and that's something that always intrigued me. I know you got to go, but going back to the fats and solubility, right? Going back to cannabis. When I went into 2015, met Dr. Sue Sisley and a bunch of great medical scientists and all this great shit, not just research, but of course cannabis. But the main takeaway was how coconut oils absorb exactly what you're saying because of the lipophilic.
They're lipophilic. All fats are lipophilic to an extent.
And then the human body, though, does absorb because of that lipophilic of association, right? And the way the blood, something membrane. I used to know this shit very good. But my point to it is that you're being able to absorb more of the nutrient value of which you're digesting and ingesting after you cook these materials too.
Right. So go look up on, I think it's out there on YouTube. It was an old TV show that was, I think, on the Science Channel back in like the early 2000s. How Things Are Made.
How It's Made. I love that you brought that up. How It's Made, one of my favorite shows ever.
I mean, anyone who plays in the health and wellness community has referenced the clip of How It's Made seed oils. The whole process of bleaching, deodorizing, using hexane, how they grind them. It's like a 3 to 5 minute clip, but it
sounds like meth.
So do you know how tallow is made?
No.
We get beef suet, which is specifically the fat around the organs. It's very dense. My beef guy then has it grind down just like you would grind hamburger meat. I then take it, I put it into a pot, add a little bit of water just so it doesn't burn, and we render it.
It renders down?
It renders at a low temperature for a few hours, pour it into a pot, or into not a pot, but a bowl to let it solidify. Then we remelt it and put it in the jars. That's the entire process. There's no deodorizing. There's no filtering. It is literally beef fat with, I think I use a cup of water per 8 quarts. That's just to keep it
right,
from
to keep it really
from
nice,
scorching like the bottom of the pan because of the heat differential. And then that's it. That's the whole process.
That's beautiful.
It is literally the same quality of fat that if you have a big ribeye and you, as you're cooking it, that fatty edge, that same thing, just at lower temperatures.
Got it. Yeah, because to me, dude, I love learning more and more and more. Me and you talk about biohacking and health and wellness, and that's my goal, right? To get better, to get stronger, to get smarter, to do things that my children can say, hey, dude, like that's a good example in every step of the way. And you and I have talked for many years, not just about health and wellness, but now about beef tallow, MOO Fat. Huh? Is that better?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all the different things that you got and have been going on, at least in not just the creative space, but more so with MOO Fat and the trajectory of positivity in the world. Like, to me, I think, dude, with that, we'll wrap it up. And of course, thank you for being on, as always.
I love this. It's been a while since I've been down here.
It's been a long time, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. But just so you know, we're working on a new version of the website that we should have up in about a week, maybe 10 days. But it's moofat.co. And we'll work like a Devil Doc talk show thing.
Oh, like a percentage thing.
Yeah, like a little discount code in there.
For you guys, for you listening, you get a percentage.
DDTS.
Thing. Yes.
Just remind me of that.
Yeah, I will.
Text me that.
If I don't, they will. They'll remind us.
Yes.
But hey, bitch, I went to check this out, and fuck you, I'm not getting it until I get that code to work.
Yeah. But thank you for having me on, and I think we've had some like fucking wacky ass conversation today.
Yeah, I mean, that's the life. That is what we do.
Internet. Yeah, hello. This is number 4. Ja, das ist ja FMF Corpsman. Das ist bestimmt das erste Mal. Shit.
Well, that's the